A novel written by Karl Heiss. The Devil is Not to Blame, Forgotten Sly Men. Chapter 9, The Irish Pope. I am better off a man of paradoxes than a man of prejudices. J.J. Rousseau, Emile. While the boys were at large, visiting the town, Karl Gross, S.J. went to the library to pick up a book. The title of the book he took was The Early Missionary Endeavors of the Companions of Jesus in China. This book may bring to light some of the controversies, precisely the case of the Matteo Ricci's controversy pertaining to the Chinese rites. While he was going through the pages of the book, he recalled the interesting remark earlier contained in a statement of Reverend Seamus Dick O'Grady MC Guinness, S.J. This was made during one of those common table discussions held at meals. This Dick companion can particularly be seen as rather a liberal mind, or a core controversial figure. He could be down to earth or a high-flying unreachable speaker. His specialty was making spicy quotes and issuing Irish bulls. He was not shy and was heard causing chilling unease among many on record saying all sex and no work turn young Sally into a bloody sex worker. This latest Irish bull of his was quite intriguing. But some daring minds suggested he should rather have said, all sex and no prayer turns young Mary into a broody Mary. But he did not. Sorry for you, sensationalists of new breed. For him, if YHWH who is God happens to give his permission, which I don't see how, where, when and why, he will deem it necessary to do. Any such permission will be to give into an unchurched and controversial move, which some mad, I repeat indeed very mad Jesuit unlike the Zealots, may ardently and zealously advocate for the purposeful incorporation of the devil in the company as a fellow companion. In the hope that, the guy, devil, could be coerced into acting for the greater glory of God. Arguably, he posited that the devil's treacherous designs are always turned into good for those who love God. But there is no mention of the fate of the other party, the ungodly. No clue about whatsoever punishment may befall upon those who do not love God or worse hate him. Maybe they go hang in hell. It will be of great interest to have the number of the companions or non-companions who will look at such a proposal as sheer nonsense and as a dangerous suggestion. Abominations of desolation. That thought of allowing the devil as a knight companion infuriated Reverend James Clark, S.J. who readily referred to him as the mad Jesuit. This latter remark was taken by the author with a hearty humor expressed through an executive big laughter. Some monks make the habits, some vestments make some monks. Because there are various types of monks, their habit distinguishes them. But a Jesuit is not a monk. A habit does not make a Jesuit. A knight companion wears no habit unlike the Black Pope, which does not mean that a Jesuit could walk out on the road stripped naked. That would be utter madness, though. Reverend Seamus Dick O'Grady MC Guinness, S.J. was a visiting lecturer in hermeneutics and exegesis from the Ricci province of Rio Bravo. He used blue baskets and had strawberry trousers. In his grey clergy, the Irish Pope was always spotted going about his business. He often came to the Mexico community for rest and to take time to go through his scholarly works and quite likely to issue new Irish bulls. He stated usually in his manner devoid of all guiles yet leaned on pranks, I am always happy to see again my brother Reverend Doug Clark's, S.J. to steal a bit of his time. Unlike the hairy rabbi who had a chocolate-like complexion and yet a fairly bald head, the Irish Pope was a sort of tall guy with unkempt auburn hair that resisted any kiss from a comb. All such had raised eyebrows from the right thinkers. He was often seen with a full hilarious childlike face. For him, things are clear, two halves of a smile does not equal a smile. Anybody who believes otherwise was free to come forward. Reverend Seamus Dick O'Grady MC Guinness, S.J. was a sort of typical controversial Jesuit figure, unpretentious, simple and cool yet deep. If you happen to be worse than him, you are good enough a guest for hell. He was unlike Reverend Doug Clark's, S.J. who did not want to see his time wasted or to waste people's time, very accommodative, yet a bit prankish. This good-humored man was everything but a boring cold age-tested bachelor. It will be untrue to see Reverend Seamus Dick O'Grady MC Guinness, S.J., when lecturing or interacting with people, as an evil genius not unwilling to lead astray a flock entrusted to his care and that he could hypnotize with his cerebral abilities. His favorite game was football and seconded by rugby, unlike many continental Britons. He could be seen playing football with the young lads or discussing high intellectual subjects with his students. He challenged people to bring the best out of them. This ingenious fellow had the ability to prove that God is, or to state rationally that God did not exist. His main argument to prove the existence of God is known as the opposite rational. That some people say they believed in God and others contend that God did not exist is an inceptive proof for the existence of God. His opposite rationalism was dreaded by Reverend Doug Clarks, S.J. For the latter, he simply was a dangerous pirate of the mind to keep relentlessly at bay. Frankly speaking, this last trait of him rather annoyed the latter to the core. Reverend Doug Clarks, S.J. railed greatly against the powerful influence of the Irish Pope. The fact of being feared of is not ridiculous, but those who redoubt our strength will try to make us ridiculous. Believed the Irish Pope. Thus the Irish Pope was given a cautious distance by Reverend Doug Clarks, S.J.